And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We hold a candle like vigil for your self-respect. Reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be the faceless in between. Because I know you can handle it. To face the truth of the matter, it's still so much better to leave the light than drag it to your grave. Because you see what to make of this. How you can turn your own tables and work this and take advantage of your failure like you planned to anyway. And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We hold a candle like vigil for your self-respect. Reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be the faceless in between. You're still alive, but you've been dead inside for a long time. And I understand why, but you did this to yourself. You did this to them. You don't even remember their names. Why should anybody remember you? Why should anyone give you another chance? You know they won't. You know you deserve to be forgotten. Now you're everything you always.
This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Break the Bell Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday night. Welcome to the Break the Bell Podcast.
Hello, beautiful bell breakers.
You know who we are, or maybe you don't know who we are, but
They know.
you're
They know.
here, so that's what matters. If you're here, you know kind of who we are. So
And if you're here and you don't know who we are, stick around.
yeah, stick around. We'll introduce ourselves the
For
right
bad
way.
or good.
Yes. Maybe you don't want to know who we are. Maybe
Yeah, right.
that's how we lose viewers.
Like, oh, it's
So-
those guys.
So it's officially happening. It's not official. It's unofficially happening.
Yes.
It's not official yet, but it's happening supposedly.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is going to jail, according to some sources, including possibly Donald Trump himself is saying the same thing.
That sounds like an MSNBC fan fiction.
Well, I don't know if I should take it like more credible when Donald Trump comes out and says, I'm going to be arrested on Tuesday, or if I should think of it's probably not going to happen if Donald Trump's saying it. Because as we know, Donald Trump is kind of a bit of a liar.
Yes, and he knows how to get the spotlight on himself for sure. He knows what to say to get people interested in him, right?
I'm just kidding. I was all a joke. I'm not actually getting arrested. Everybody, streets are burning and building, houses are on fire, and January 6th 2.0 is happening.
I was gonna say, is this has got to be something major? Is it January 6th? Is it collusion with the Russians? I mean, it's got to be something massive, right?
Oh, yes.
Is it
Yeah.
espionage with the Chinese?
It's definitely one of those serious ones.
Yeah.
I don't know, possibly just telling somebody to be quiet for consensual sex. I mean, I'm not going to get too far ahead of ourselves,
Sure.
but between those options, obviously the consensual sex one is the
one that gets
the
him,
biggest
right?
one
Yeah.
to nail the put the final nail in the coffin,
Okay.
I guess.
Kind of like taxes with Al Capone.
I was actually gonna say that, bring
Yeah.
that up. It's like of all the shitty thing Al Capone to do, he's like, "You're never gonna catch me alive," and they're like, "Tax evasion." He's like, "Shit."
I missed that one.
It's like I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah.
It's like Valentine's Day Massacre, golden. Illegal gambling and golden. The hookers and the freaking
Bootlegging.
the prohibition
Yeah.
era like bootlegging, we're fine.
Yeah.
Taxes, damn it.
Yeah, right.
Where's my accountant?
Yeah.
That's when the mob started hiring accountants, was
Yeah,
after
right.
Al Capone started cooking books. But we're not talking about Al Capone, which that would be a fun episode,
That would
though.
be a fun one.
We are talking about the possible indictment of Donald J. Trump, which the left has been screaming for what, 7
Ever.
years now?
Yeah.
7, 8 years now,
Since he announced he was going to run for president.
yeah,
I
they've been
think.
trying to put him in jail ever since then. So maybe they'll get their satisfying moment.
possible.
I mean, we are living in an era of like aha or like gotcha politics,
Right,
you know.
right.
And so, I mean, it just seems so fitting that it
Yeah.
would end this way. But I guess we'll get more into this. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But the real question is, does it end that way? Would that be the end of Donald Trump if he were to be arrested?
No. no.
Sadly, I don't think so.
No. I think he would even get bigger.
I think the phrase "fuel to a fire" just
Yes.
kind of comes up in that
Yeah.
scenario. So
He would be like he'd be like Bane, right? And he'd have all the convicts on his side as he raids the streets of
Oh.
the big city.
that would be quite the movie. Or he'd be like every cheesy Christmas movie gets them all to sing songs in jail and gets them all to like be good boys. But
No.
I don't know. No. We're going to talk about the indictment of Trump. The reason why, the reasoning behind this, I want to
Sure.
maybe compare it to some other presidents and similar wheelings and dealings, and whether this is fitting, like these charges they're pushing against him, if it's fitting for what he actually did. We'll kind of, in our legal expertise, we'll discuss if we feel like these charges are warranted or not, or if it's just, I don't know, a witch hunt. And then we'll see where it goes from there. So before we get into that, obviously we got to say, check us out all over the social medias. You can find us at our handle on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Break the Bell Pod, or you can find links to all our social media and everything we do at breakthebellpod.com. You can find links to our amazing merchandise store, where you can get the infamous "I Will Not Eat Your Bug" shirt, the "We Are Not Your Pawns" shirt, some logo merchandise, some cups, some other fun stuff. So access to all that stuff at breakthebellpod.com, or you can go directly to the store at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Check it out. Support us a little more if you feel it in your heart that you want to do that. Make this thing grow, make this thing bigger. Otherwise, just keep listening to us, because that's ideally what we want you to do first and foremost, is just give us the benefit of listening to us. But we do want to be famous someday, and we
Sure.
do want to be on Hillary Clinton's hit list. So
I think we're close.
yep.
I
So
think we're
like,
close.
share, and subscribe so we can make our names bigger and we can get on more of those hit lists and
Yes.
eventually work our way up to the final boss, which is the Hillary Clinton hit
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
So do that for us, because we love you, and hopefully you love us too. Or even if you hate us, just hit that like and subscribe out of spite, I guess. So we got a comment. John Wood says, US, I don't know what that means, but says, just remember Bill Clinton did it first. He paid off a girl and nothing was done. John, you're giving spoilers for the show. You're getting ahead of us. Slow down. Slow your roll, John. 'Cause
Yeah.
we will get into that. We're definitely going to get into some of the Bill Clinton stuff too.
Yeah,
And now,
because he's famous for it.
yeah, he is famous for it, and some of the things he did might or might not be like way worse than
Yeah.
like paying off somebody for consensual sex. So
yeah.
we'll get into all that as we go throughout this episode. So we're just going to get right into it before John gives everything away. We're going to get into this intro video, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the possible indictment of Donald J. What's his middle name? It's
That's
just
a
J.
good question. Yeah, maybe it is just Jay. Maybe
it
he
Jay?
added that because it sounds cooler.
Oh, I'm going to look it up. Donald Trump middle name. 'Cause I just know him as Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
Donald John Trump. That's just dumb. That's just so dumb.
No offense, John.
Donald. I don't know. Even like Donald Joseph Trump. would
Yeah,
sound
or
better.
even Jonathan.
John. His name is Don John.
John. You know what? He couldn't use that
That's
because
fine.
Miami Vice ruined it.
Okay, yeah. So when we come back, we will talk about the indictment of Don John Trump. We'll be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What did you say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What'd you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, baby.
Did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me. Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
All right, we are back. Like we were saying in the pre-show, pretty much since Donald Trump, or Don John, I'm going to start calling him Don John from now on. Since Don John took office back in 2016-17, there was like a mad dash to throw all kinds of shit at him and see what stuck. Not literal, maybe literal.
Probably literal, yes.
But figuratively, like all kinds of criminal charges, lawsuits.
Oh, yeah. Fraud charges.
Now, I did see, before we get there, how many legal troubles he's been in his life.
I'd be curious.
Donald Trump, legal.
Because I remember
Legal affairs of Donald
the
Trump.
Trump University. Remember that one? That was supposed to be like a big fraud thing, and it just never went anywhere.
According to a 2016 analysis, so pre-election,
Pre-presidential.
him and his businesses were involved in 3,500 legal cases.
Okay, but is some of those bankruptcy and
Well, 3,500
land and
3,500 lawsuits. Out of those, 1,900, his company was the plaintiff, so he was was suing.
Okay.
1,450, he was the defendant,
Okay.
and bankruptcy was about 150, I think. Is that?
Oh, okay.
So
Okay, so roughly 1,600 cases.
yeah, against him,
Yeah. Okay.
somewhere in there.
But,
I
you
mean,
know,
that's a lot, but
it is.
It's a major corporation, though.
Right. Exactly.
And he has so many different things between, like you said, the university,
Yeah.
his foundation, Trump Foundation,
yes. Yeah.
his real estate business,
Yes.
his sexual provocativity,
Yes.
yeah,
because I had heard that. Yeah, like one of his big things was using eminent
proclitivity.
domain.
That's what I was going for,
Oh,
not
okay.
provocative. Same thing.
I knew where you were going with it.
Yes.
But he uses eminent domain a lot to be able to build his hotels and country clubs, and so that
okay,
has
so
been
he's one
brought
of
up.
those assholes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. So, just since, like I said, since he took office, there's been a hell of a lot of freaking
Oh yeah.
things just being thrown at him. Like the Stormy Daniels payoff
Yep.
was like almost immediately.
Yep.
Russia collusion. We
Right.
can't forget Russia collusion.
That's one
The,
of our
the
favorites.
Steele dossier and
Yep.
him colluding with Russia to leak information about Hillary Clinton or hack the servers or hack
Right.
the freaking voting machines. All just
Yeah.
Russia collusion. That's so broad that probably
Yeah.
covers like 80 on its own.
Yeah, because in there was a number of things like they thought the Russian government had like video of him with a prostitute, and so that they were
Yep.
using that as leverage against him and stuff.
All kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Russia collusion. Impeachment number 1. You can't forget that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The threatening to withhold finances from Ukraine if they didn't give up information about Joe Biden. His tax return.
Yes.
Transparency issues. Like, well, he's obviously committing tax fraud because he won't release his tax information. Obviously, there's January 6th and then the infamous
Yep.
impeachment number 2 that came with
Yes.
it, which set an unprecedented moment in history. The second time a president was impeached, and the first time a president that was no longer president was impeached.
Yes.
So,
and don't forget the FBI.
yeah, the
Storming
FBI
this-
raid on
yes.
Mar-a-Lago
Yep.
with looking for classified documents.
Yeah.
So out of all just those few things, which all were really big news.
Yeah.
Which one did they get the shit to stick? Was it the Russia collusion? Was it obviously the Mar-a-Lago classified documents?
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, if
that
it
would
warrants
be
an
huge,
FBI
right?
raid, it's got to
You would think
charges
so.
come. No, it was freaking Stormy Daniels.
Yeah,
Stormy
right.
Daniels.
The one that he paid, and he's like, you know what? This is good. I don't have to worry about this one again.
Yeah, and then it came back right away.
Yeah.
You know the porn star that gets paid to have sex for a
Yes.
living,
Right.
and which, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, that's your your choice, I guess, as long as it's consensual. Which it was consensual. There's never been anything. Not
Yeah.
even Stormy Daniels has come out and been like, "Well, this wasn't consensual."
Right. Yeah.
But he decides, and this took place 17 years ago,
Yes.
10 years before his campaign.
Yeah.
So a long fucking time ago was the affair. And then he comes out and decides, I'm going to give you a fat check. And she accepted the fat check
Mhm.
to not say a damn word, to just keep her
Right.
mouth shut. That's all she had to do.
Yeah.
$130,000 just to keep her freaking mouth shut.
She couldn't even do that.
And then what'd she do?
Blabbed it.
She wrote a book.
Yeah,
she wrote
right?
a freaking book like a week later,
Yeah.
something like that. It's like, you know what I'm going to do with this fat check? I'm going to go write a book.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll get into this more because I kept asking the questions like, look, you got paid to not disclose, and you did the opposite of that. You very much disclosed. You
Yeah,
wrote a book and
right.
made money.
It doesn't
more
get more
money off of it.
disclosed than that.
Apparently, the caveat is Donald Trump never signed the NDA himself. So that's how she got away with it.
No.
Because I was like, why is he not suing her for everything
Right.
she's got over
Because
this?
he
Like,
didn't sign it.
because he never signed.
Because he wanted to be able to brag to everybody.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, yeah, you see her? Hit it.
Yeah. Well, now he's like, I would never, I never had relations with that woman, and I never would. She's a nasty woman. You can imagine him going full blown Bill Clinton.
Oh.
I never had sexual relations with that woman, that nasty woman. You can't add nasty. Come on.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not
Yeah.
helping, Don.
He
And he's
probably
like,
called Bill and asked
it
for tips.
depends on what your definition of the word is. And they're like, okay, we've heard this one.
Yeah.
Just stop. Just
You know
stop
what?
there. We've
And-
heard
and
this
Bill
one.
Clinton did it better.
Yeah, obviously. And his southern drawl just made it sound so much
Exactly.
more suave.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's been rumors swirling around about Trump being arrested for this specifically for months now.
But isn't the caveat of this is that he used campaign dollars to pay her off?
Yeah. Well, that's what they're going with here, and we'll talk about that, like why this
Mm-hmm.
is a crime, because it's not a crime to say, "Oh, that was good. Now can I just pay you to keep your mouth shut?"
Right,
Is that
right,
can we
yeah.
just do that?
'Cause
I don't want somebody to find out.
Celebrities and athletes do it all the time.
I mean, there's specific celebrities that have. You have to sign an NDA
Yeah,
just to
just
go
to
hang
go out
out
with
with
them.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
It's like what happens in Vegas stays in
Yeah,
Vegas.
right.
It's like what happens with Leo DiCaprio stays
with
with
Leo
Leo
DiCaprio.
DiCaprio. I don't know if he does, but I'm pretty
Probably.
sure. I think he's one of the
Probably.
ones.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, I think, has an NDA
Probably.
to hang. Well, that's probably with the Church of Scientology.
Yeah,
but-
that's true.
So, like I said, there's been all these rumors surrounding that. It's going to happen. Again, I didn't take much stock into it until Donald Trump comes out himself. Is like, I'm going to be arrested, and it's like, is
What
this
an
happening?
odd thing to say.
I mean, it is. It's
Yeah.
really strange to say that if you're somebody that supposedly doesn't want to be arrested,
Yeah.
to be like, hey, I just want all my fans to know that come Tuesday morning I will be arrested, and they're like, shit, what, like,
Right.
horrors,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to inflame his already
Oh, yeah.
super inflamed fan base.
Yes.
So let's take a look at like the
He
initial.
must be going for maybe like the Mandela thing, right? Like Mandela got arrested for, fighting against the government. So maybe he's like,
He's the next Nelson Mandela.
Yup. That's him, Donald Trump, the next Nelson
Are they going to
Mandela.
have a Trump effect in like 20 years from now?
Yes,
Like
definitely.
I swear Donald Trump died. I swear, and then he just died again. Like
Yes.
they call that, and Donald Trump's like, we call that the Trump effect. It's like, no, we don't. I'm calling it from now on. Everybody will call the Mandela effect the Trump effect.
I want that trademarked.
So this is from CNN. It says, Trump says he expects to be arrested Tuesday as New York law enforcement prepares for a possible indictment. Now, where's this come from? Because according to his people, they haven't reached out to him and been like, hey, just to let you know, this might be happening.
Yeah.
Apparently, there may or may not have been a leak from the district attorney's office.
Out of New York.
Like an intentional, not intentional, oops, accidental, intentional leak. Kind of like the Supreme Court stuff with the Roe v. Wade.
Yes.
Where they leaked that out ahead of time.
It's
to
funny
get
how that
people-
works,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's just like, oh, what could get people really pissed off? What if we accidentally leaked that this was going to happen? Then we can see what
and it
happens.
almost sounds like the guy, the district attorney's doing it because basically he was told he doesn't have the balls to do it. And he's like, oh, yeah?
Or, I mean, there is suspicion that another current standing president had some shady affairs kind of come out in the papers this week. And they're like, well, if we just leak this out that Trump's going to get arrested, then everybody will forget about the fact that the newspaper said that some more information came out about Biden and China dealings, because that came out this week too. It's like, well, there's something really big going on here between Biden and China, and this is only the first thing I've looked at, and I've got 11 more things to look at, is what they said. And all of a sudden, this Trump thing leaks out that there's a possible indictment, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, Trump's gonna get indicted, and they're like, just fucking forget about Joe Biden. So it says former President Donald Trump, Don John, said Saturday he expects to be arrested in connection with the years-long investigation into hush money scheme involving adult film actress Stormy Daniels, and called on his supporters to protest any such move. I mean, that's terrible, right? Like, for him to call for his supporters to protest?
Didn't we go there one other time on J6?
Yeah, and it's not like the other side ever has called on their supporters
never.
to protest or to go out in the streets and like make people's lives uncomfortable and disrupt their dinners and all this shit.
Yeah.
But looking at you, Maxine Waters. But when Donald Trump does, obviously he's just trying to incite another January 6th, obviously. In social media post, Trump referring to himself,
like in the third person?
I guess. I don't know why they had to put that in. Well, who else was he referring? Trump, referring to himself, said the leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States will be arrested Tuesday of next week. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that sounds like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I might be indicted next week, we got to add.
I just want to let you know the leading candidate and future president of the United States.
And former United States president and future president of these United States, of the greatest country in the history of the world, under the direction of the greatest leader in the history of the world, might be arrested next week. Or it says will be arrested next week, though he did not say why he expects to be arrested. His team said after Trump's post that it had not received any notification from prosecutors. CNN's John Miller reported Friday that meetings have been going on throughout the week among city, state, and federal law enforcement agencies in New York City about security preparations for a possible indictment of Trump. In echo of Trump's appeals to supporters in the wake of 2020 presidential election, he called for action, writing, "Protest, take our nation back." So, I mean, that's all he said, and obviously,
inferences were made.
Yeah. In echoes of the horrors of January 6th, he called on his supporters to protest. The former president has been agitating for his team to get his base riled up and believes that an indictment would help him politically. Multiple briefed on the matter told CNN. Any indictment of the former president, who is running for re-election in 2024, would mark a historic first and quickly change the political conversation around an already divisive figure. While Trump has an extensive history of civil litigation, both before and after taking office, a criminal charge would represent a dramatic escalation of his legal woes as he works to recapture the White House. Another witness is expected to testify Monday before the grand jury investigating the hush money payouts. It doesn't say who. It just says another. It says Trump's legal team has been anticipating that an indictment will happen soon and has been preparing behind the scenes for next steps. An attorney for Trump, Joe Tacopina, later said the president had based his claims on press reports. No one tells us anything, which is very frustrating. President Trump is basing his response on press reports. So the press is coming out and saying, hey, there's possibly going to be indictments. So Trump's like, well, guys, there's possibly going to be indictments. The New York Times said so. Says
the only time he's ever listened to the New York Times.
So this is interesting. It says Mike Pence, who served as vice president under Trump, echoed Kevin McCarthy said that it was an outrageous abuse of power. And then Mike Pence echoed that and said, well, like many Americans, I'm taken aback. He says the former vice president claimed the Manhattan District Attorney's investigation reeks of political prosecution. I mean, even if it's... I mean, Donald Trump has said for years that the left hates him.
Yeah.
Even if it's not specifically politically motivated, do you think you're not adding fuel to that political prosecution narrative that he's been going off of for how many years now?
Yeah. Yeah, well, especially considering I believe this case has been thrown out once before.
It was thrown out at a federal level.
Yeah.
Like the federal level in 2018, they're just like, yeah,
right.
Yeah, we're just
There's not enough there. And then New York's like, we got this.
We got this now. We apparently, because Trump has complained privately, he believes he's going to be indicted only because he thinks the Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, hates him, according to a source familiar with what Trump has said. Bragg said in an email to staff Saturday that his office will not tolerate attempts to intimidate our office or threaten the rule of law in New York in response to possible protests. He's not going to tolerate the protests. So, what do you think so far?
Well, it sounds like Trump's just running with it. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's
Why
like,
wouldn't
not only
you?
am I going to get in front of this, but I'm going to make it look like they're targeting me, right?
I'm going to make
scared
it
of
look
me.
like I'm the politically oppressed individual that I've been saying this entire time, and you're going to do my bidding for me by doing that.
The swamp is scared of me, right?
Well,
because I'm coming in to clean it up again, right? And so that's what they're doing. They're trying to get rid of me again.
Drain the swamp, too.
And again, if they just left him alone, he would probably go away. But no, they keep doing this.
Says the New York Police Department didn't immediately respond to CNN's inquiry following Trump's post Saturday. But New York City law enforcement source told CNN that security for a possible indictment against Trump was discussed as part of the NYPD daily briefing, and that social media is being monitored daily for any threats. They're spying on you guys. So
anything saying, hey, guys, let's go downtown Manhattan because let's stop Trump from getting indicted.
Yeah, they're watching you, and the person you're talking to on social media is probably a Fed, just so you know. Law enforcement sources know that Trump has a loyal following, and they're taking a wait-and-see approach. They don't yet know how many people could be planning on showing up in Manhattan this week, but officials are monitoring the situation. Trump's U.S. Secret Service detail would deliver him to Manhattan District Attorney's office for fingerprinting and then take mugshots in the office of the DA's detective squad, as is customary in cases where a defendant is allowed to voluntarily surrender after arrest processing. The former president would be brought directly to an arraignment before a judge where he will likely be released on his own recognizance. So do you think... So I know for high-profile people they work out a deal. It's you come in on your own time,
right?
Your own discretion. We don't perp walk you or anything. Do you think the left would love to see a perp walk instead?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Do you think the DA would love to see a perp walk of Donald Trump? Why? Why do you think so?
Well, because then they'll take those pictures and they'll run with them, right? I mean, if they get him in his mugshots, right, and take pictures of him, they would love that. They would be like, hey, this is the guy you're voting for president right here.
So
like that.
Like that right there?
Like that,
yes. That
yes.
kind of mugshot?
I mean, imagine MSNBC and Rachel Maddow with their shit-eating grin I mean, constantly talking about this debate. Right?
Now imagine Tucker Carlson with perp walk pictures
Oh yeah.
of Donald Trump. It goes both ways.
Oh, it does. It does.
Imagine, do you think what would Donald Trump want to do? Knowing who Donald Trump is, do you think he'd rather do like a Michael Jackson, go out and like on his own accord, sneak in with a veil over his face so nobody
No.
notices?
Oh,
Or do you
fuck no.
think he'd be sitting there and be like, "Nah, bitch, just put the cuffs on me"?
He's showing up in a gold-plated helicopter, rappelling down the building.
No, if I was Donald Trump, this is what I would do. I would go sit on my steps outside, call the media in,
Yeah.
and I would tell them, I'm not going anywhere. You're going to have to arrest me. And make them put the damn cuffs on me.
Yeah.
Make them perp walk me all the way to the vehicle, because that is just gold for his campaign of I am a politically oppressed
Oh yeah. Could you imagine all the
Individual.
cameras? I mean, it would be very similar to when Greta Thunberg got arrested.
or AOC. Remember,
Yeah,
AOC
oh, yeah,
didn't even
yes.
have cuffs on. She
Yeah.
just put her hands behind her back.
Yeah, right.
And just
Yeah.
walked next to the cops. And she's
Yes.
like, I'm being arrested, guys. It's like, but you're not even in handcuffs.
Yeah,
What are
no,
you doing?
seriously, we're in the age of the perp walk.
Yes. That's what I was thinking. It was like, and it just reminds me of if AOC can pull it off and be
Yep.
like,
and Greta Thunberg.
and Greta Thunberg, then
Yes.
Donald Trump would pull it off. And I think
Absolutely.
he would do it too. And I don't blame him. I would do it too. If I
Yeah.
was in Donald Trump's shoes and if I had the freaking ego that Donald Trump has, and if my whole campaign was surrounding political oppression, then
Yeah.
yes, I absolutely would say,
Yeah.
put me in handcuffs. You walk me to that car because I'm not moving if you don't.
And you know, and it's interesting that him getting perp walked, as it would be, plays into both of theirs like narratives,
Mhm.
right? I mean, it plays into the liberal
Well, yeah.
narrative,
They
and
both-
it also plays into Donald Trump's
It's
narrative.
amazing how the same picture
Yeah.
can be so divisive. It's like, look, we told you,
Yeah.
and then the right's like, look, we told you, we
Yep.
told
Yeah.
you, and it's the same
Yeah.
sentence, just totally different messaging. It's so it's
Yeah.
the world we live in.
It
is
is.
the gotcha politics that we live in, and you can. The sad thing is, well, it's basically like Donald Trump said originally. It's like I could shoot a guy and I would still have
Oh, yeah.
supporters. I could
Absolutely.
shoot a guy in the middle of Manhattan and I would still have supporters. So if they think this is going to
Right.
be his downfall,
Right.
then they got the best thing they could do is be like, we have these charges. Just come in whenever you want. You
Yeah.
know, we'll come to your house. Actually,
Yeah.
we'll just you can just stay there. We'll just if you just want to forward over a picture, we'll just Photoshop it into a mugshot. And if actually the best thing for them, like you were saying before the show, is just shut the fuck up and leave them
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
Just go away.
Even
leave 'em alone.
hardcore Trump fans that I've talked to, they're like, maybe he just needs to disappear, and we need to go a different direction.
Right. But they keep just adding
Oh yeah,
fuel
they
to
keep
this fire.
pulling him in.
It's like he's one of those people, the age-old classic saying, if you ignore him, he'll go away.
Yeah.
That's Donald Trump needs the attention, and it doesn't matter
Yes.
what kind of attention it is. And they just keep giving it to him, and he's
Yes.
like, "See, I told you. I'm famous. I am infamous." And like
Yeah.
Donald Trump wants to be infamous.
Oh, fuck yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving here. I kind of got ahead of myself, but it was just rolling.
Yes.
So he calls for protest. You think there'll be big protest for this?
Not
if he does?
big, but there'll be some protest, I think.
I think the left would want there to be a big protest so they
absolutely.
can again say, "I told you so."
Yeah.
Look, he incited it with where they can impeach him a third time for inciting violence again because of his
Yeah.
tweet or his post on Truth Social. Go to the streets and protest and take America back again.
Now, do you think they would have protested if he didn't say that?
Oh, if he didn't tweet at all?
Yeah.
I mean, there would be some protest.
Yeah.
But it would be more of a surprise, and there wouldn't be like now we had from Saturday till Tuesday when he's saying he's potentially going to get arrested that people can go and just plan for this shit
Right.
and possibly make this like come from out of state like all protests are and make a big noise and then go back home to their cushy lives because that's what protesters do. But if he would have just got arrested, yeah, there would have been protests, but it would have been like, oh, my guy is like, let Donald go, let Donald, and there'd be like 6 people standing
Yeah, right,
outside.
right, yeah.
But it will be bigger because
He said something.
he said something
Yeah.
up ahead of time. So what else? Because I said, like that article said, it's unprecedented, as Bernie Sanders likes to say. That word's going to come up a lot today.
It is.
it's unprecedented for it's the first time a former U.S. president has been arrested. Did you know there was one time a standing U.S. president got arrested?
I do not know that.
I think it was one of the Roosevelts.
Okay.
I had read. Some police officer arrested him for speeding or something.
Oh, really?
I don't even know if he knew who he was, but he
Yeah.
it was just like a dumbass moment.
Yeah.
He was speeding and got arrested for some traffic violation. So that's happened, but a former U.S. president has never been officially indicted and arrested. So that makes it unprecedented.
Well, yeah, because even Nixon got pardoned.
Well, yeah, I mean, Nixon resigned before he was charged.
But even Gerald Ford had decided, it's best for the country if he doesn't
Let's
face
just
charges.
move on, yeah.
You're right.
Other things that make this unprecedented is, as the House GOP says, the fact. Let me see if I can pull this up. The unprecedented abuse of authority by the Manhattan District Attorney.
Yeah, and a lot of people are throwing that one around.
Yeah, like massive abuse of authority, apparently, based on the charges specifically, because this is something that so many presidents have done, like hush money, payoffs, campaign finance, fraud, or misuse of campaign finance. It's a slap on a wrist, maybe a fine at most.
Right, it's a misdemeanor.
That's it. Misdemeanor, maybe. And on top of that, the statute of limitations is 5 years. And this was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's beyond the statute of limitations, but he's done some kind of legal bullshit workaround to get around that too. So this from Zero Hedge. It says, House Republicans this is a subcommittee. This is an official subcommittee.
Ooh.
The weaponization of federal government subcommittee. They made a subcommittee.
Of course they did.
To review the weaponization of federal government. And they're using their new investigative powers to look into liberal Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. So this is the guy that Trump says hates him and has a vendetta against him. Says over the Soros-funded DA's reported plans to indict former President Donald Trump. So we got to throw in Soros-funded because that makes him the boogeyman. Yeah,
right.
But apparently he is Soros-funded. I think I have a thing here about that. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he's indicting Trump over this $130,000 or $50,000 payout to another
type.
But donated $1 million to Alvin Bragg's campaign. $1 million to his campaign, and he's obsessed over a $130,000 campaign fund issue.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the laws are for the Manhattan District Attorney of how much they
I would think $1 million would be a little much.
I would think so too, but it doesn't say anything about it being a
Usually
crime.
they have caps.
But yeah, that's his link to George Soros, the
Interesting.
boogeyman, is George Soros's Color of Change PAC gave him $1 million to run for district attorney. So back to this article, it says, over the so they're looking into this guy over these. They're just trying to dig up dirt, like throw shit at this guy,
right?
Because of his felony charges relating to the hush money he allegedly paid porn star Stormy Daniels 7 years ago, a charge which would normally be a misdemeanor. Bragg would also be prosecuting the case beyond the 5-year statute of limitation. Says you're reportedly about to engage in an unprecedented abuse of prosecutorial authority, the indictment of a former president of the United States and current declared candidate for the office, reads a Monday letter to Bragg from Representatives Jim Jordan, James Comer, and Brian Steele. The indictment comes... God, I got shit in my throat. This indictment comes after years of your office searching for any basis on which to bring charges, ultimately settling on a novel legal theory untested anywhere in the country and one that federal authorities declined to pursue back in 2018, like you were saying. The letter goes on to shred the untested legal theory underpinning Bragg's expected indictment and calls out former Trump's attorney Michael Cohen, Bragg's star witness and a convicted perjurer, as having a serious credibility problem. So,
Seriously.
your key witness in this trial, is somebody that has served time in jail for perjury, for lying on the stand.
Yes.
In this case,
Yeah.
in this case about Stormy Daniels' payout,
Yeah.
he already lied once, and he's your key witness now.
Yes. I mean, I see a problem with it.
I mean, he's obviously changed his ways.
Oh, obviously, yes.
I mean, threatened with like 15 years in prison or however much. Obviously, he's going to be like, well, I'm a good boy now.
Yeah.
I will never lie again. Or maybe he'll say, I'll say whatever the hell you tell me
right.
to, as
I'm
long as
already
it
in
keeps me
jail.
out of jail.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, they're biased for Trump being the whatever that subcommittee was. But they kind of make a good point. It's like you're basing this whole indictment on Michael Cohen,
Yeah, right.
infamous perjurer.
Yeah.
And
On this case.
yeah, and on this, not just any case, like this specific
Yeah.
situation he's already lied about.
Yeah.
And now you're just bringing him in as your. I mean, I could see them bringing him in as like, to kind of validate what this person's saying. But
Yeah.
this is like what they're basing their whole trial around.
Yeah.
And the guy, like, secretly recorded conversations with Trump, who was his client
Mm-hmm. Right.
at the time, but attorney-client privileges don't apply here, they say, because Donald Trump said he didn't do this. So then Michael Cohen said they didn't, like this conversation never happened. So attorney-client privileges don't apply here, is
Right.
what I read somehow.
Really? Okay. That.
Big giant loophole around the whole
Yeah, I
attorney-client
guess so.
privilege thing. But okay, says the letter demands all documents and communication related to the decision. Says this is the type of thing America hates, and it divides America, and it is wrong. McCarthy said this week while conferring with House Republicans in Orlando, Florida. McCarthy has accused Bragg of lowering penalties for criminals in New York while prosecuting political opponents. I mean, that's interesting. Like,
Yeah.
you stop,
Right?
like, stop having, like, pressing charges for violent
Actual
crimes.
crimes.
But we're just gonna like make something up and see and hope
Yeah.
it sticks. It's interesting to me he spent his whole time as DA lowering felonies, not to prosecute. I think Republicans and Democrats alike hate this type of justice. Republicans stopped the radical D.C. crime law, and we will investigate any use of federal funds that are used to facilitate the perversion of justice by Soros-backed DAs across the country. Then it goes on to say, Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott echoed McCarthy's sentiment, saying no federal dollars should be used to prop up this radical Soros-backed activist attorney or his gross political attacks. They keep using the word Soros just to make it worse. But I guess they have something to base that off of.
Right.
It says even Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who's been encouraged to speak up, accused Bragg of weaponizing his office. And he was one that was kind of in a spat back and forth with Trump when this stuff was coming out to begin with. But now he's just like, are you really going to do that? I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
that's blatant, like, weaponization of
Right.
your office there. Says, according to the House Oversight Accountability Committee Chairman James Comer, the timing of the leak from Bragg's office over the indictment is suspect. So this is what I was saying. Like, apparently this leaked out,
Right. Yeah.
and James Comer is like, it's pretty coincidental that this leaked out when it leaked out. Says the indictment news leaked right after Mr. Comer revealed that he had obtained bank records showing Biden's family members were involved in business transaction with Chinese company that paid them more than $1 million. Did James Comer just talk about himself in the third person? It says Mr. Comer called the DA's targeting of Mr. Trump an effort to detract from the Biden-China probe, but at the very least, it's another example of a two-tiered system of justice. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to unpack there.
Right.
To unpack there.
And that makes sense, right? Like,
Yeah.
message comes through, hey, if you're going to pull the trigger on this Trump thing, this is the week to do it.
Yeah, it's like we unleash the Trump thing right now because this is this is really serious. Like, people are starting to look at Joe Biden here, and we
Right.
got to remind them that Donald Trump is bad, and he's
Yeah.
so much worse. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of fraud or money laundering
Yeah.
or
Give me
whatever
whatever you got.
financial issues that Biden did. Trump is bad. He's so much worse. So that's the narrative. Let's play that out that way.
Yeah.
It's really, the really funny thing to me is even Michael Avenatti says this ain't gonna stick. Like, this do you remember who Michael Avenatti was?
I don't.
He was Stormy Daniels' lawyer
Oh.
in the whole situation.
Really? So even her lawyer comes out and is like, yeah, this isn't really going to be a thing.
Yeah. He goes on to say in a tweet, he says, there are many critical facts and pieces of evidence relating to the hush money scandal that have yet to see the day of light, i.e. texts, emails, etc. And they will unfortunately be very damaging to the prosecution if Trump stands trial. At this point, you simply can't build a case. Let me click on that because there was a little more to it. So he's pretty much saying that, guys, we tried this. I tried this. There's not much case here. And what it sounds like he's saying. It's like, there's a lot of you, the prosecutors, than it's going to actually be to
And
Trump.
that's really interesting to me that they come out and say that, because it makes me wonder, like, okay, what is it that is damaging to the prosecution? That
Yes,
if
I
we
want
see-
to know. That's why I want the. He represented both of them, didn't he? Even he comes out and he's like, if you're basing this on her and him, a known liar, and Stormy freaking Daniels, you don't got much to go off of here. You probably shouldn't open that up, and you probably just let
And
let it
so I can see Trump with this shit-eating grin being like, yeah, let's play this out. I'll do the
Do
perp
it.
walk. Let's see what happens.
do it.
Yeah.
I dare you. I dare you to do it. You don't know what Stormy Daniels is into. This will show all the
Yeah, right.
all the weird things Stormy.
Yeah.
I don't care. They know I got a mushroom dick. They don't care.
Yeah, right. Or you don't know who else was with her, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah.
let's show her client list. Let's see who she's been with.
Yeah, but for Michael Avenatti,
Hillary, Michelle.
who was like the Saul Goodman of this whole situation to begin with, it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you got dirt on Trump? Let's do this. Let's write a book about it, and then let's sue Donald Trump and all the shit. And then he comes out, he's like, don't prosecute. Just please don't.
Yeah.
Like, a book is fine because we have creative liberties with a book, but
Yeah, right.
indictments, those have to be like honest shit, and things come out, and we don't want shit to come out. So, yeah.
But it, along with the Biden information, it does make you think, like, okay, well, they don't care if anything
Oh, no.
sticks. They just want the circus.
Yeah, they want the news cycle to just revolve around Donald Trump for a couple weeks, and then nobody will have time or even feel the need to talk about the situation surrounding the Biden family, because it doesn't matter.
And Bragg will probably get a nice, cushy legal position in the Biden administration after all this is said and done.
Yeah, he'll be the attorney general, the
Right.
federal attorney. What is that? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
He'll end up there someday. So I want to talk about what this is all based off of, like where they think their case is, because like I said, it's not illegal for you to have consensual relations with a porn star, even if she emasculates you publicly,
Right.
and then to turn around and say, I kind of regret this a little bit. I don't want somebody to find out about this. You don't want somebody to find out about
Right.
this. Can I just give you a little bit of money to shut up and go away?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it happens with politics all the time.
Yeah.
You know it does.
Oh,
We've
absolutely.
all seen House of Cards. You've seen
Yes.
House of Cards,
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, Stormy Daniels should just be happy that this isn't 35 years ago, because 35 years ago we weren't paying off the affairs with campaign funds.
Right. Yeah.
We're just making them go away.
Yeah. Or Hillary would make you look very bad in
Mhm.
front of everybody, and while saying how much she loves her husband, and it would just totally discredit you.
Calling you that woman.
Yeah, right. And if you said anything, you risked suicide by 2 in the
That's
back
what
of the
I'm
head.
saying. Like, you,
Yeah.
35, 40 years ago, you just weren't anymore.
No.
You just were disappeared. And
Yeah.
that's not just Clintons. I'm talking politics in general.
Right,
It's just
right.
like, yeah, you know too much. You got to
Yeah,
go away.
and I mean we've talked about this before, that every president who has served has their own little black ops unit that takes care of problems.
oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so some are worse than others. And yeah, you would just
Yeah,
disappeared.
remember the guy from House of Cards, the bald guy? It was his advisor guy,
Mhm.
but he was also his like cleanup guy. He would go. He was the guy that there was that alcoholic congressman, and he just made him
Yes.
like suicide himself. Yeah, they got those guys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, for Trump to pay this woman off, she should feel lucky. As shitty as that sounds, she should feel
Yeah.
lucky that she got paid off.
And she got to write a book.
And yeah, she wrote a book. It's like, and she, like I said, emasculated him
Yeah.
physically and his character in this book.
Yeah.
And I mean, she should have just left it at that.
But I promise she probably wanted to. She's
No,
good.
she's on the stand.
Oh, is she on the
She
stand
is-
too?
She is
Oh,
going to
okay.
be one of their key witnesses
Oh.
too. She is like tweeting posts out there saying like pretty
Talking
much,
mad
yeah,
shit.
talking shit about it. And
Okay.
no, she's loving this,
Oh,
the
okay.
attention from this. So, like I said, let's get into the basis behind this, because from what it sounds like, that, like we said for years, it's like, why is that even illegal?
Right.
Well, it's how he paid for it, apparently, according to Michael Cohen, and how Michael Cohen set this shit up.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump, I feel like, being the billionaire he is, could have just pulled out a checkbook and wrote a check, and it
Oh,
would have
yeah.
been fine. But that's not how it happened.
Yeah.
Like, he had his cleanup dude, Michael Cohen, go and work this out for him. So let's read this from ABC News, because it says, the New York hush money probe of Donald Trump explained. So this is going to clear it all up for us. More than 6 years after Donald Trump's lawyer paid off a porn star, New York prosecutors appeared to be close to deciding whether the former president should face charges in connection with the payoff. In the final weeks of the 2016 presidential election, Donald Trump's lawyer tried to buy the silence of porn actress who said she had sexual encounter with the Republican during his days as a reality TV star. More than 6 years later, New York prosecutors appeared to be close to deciding whether Trump should face charges in connection with that payoff in what could become the first criminal case ever brought against a former president. Thursday's news that the Manhattan District Attorney invited Trump to testify before a grand jury next week suggested prosecutors were serious about bringing charges in a probe that looked like yesterday's news just a few months ago. Trump's former lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen, now a key prosecution witness, is scheduled to testify before a grand jury on Monday, according to two people familiar with the matter. So that's like today, I guess.
Yeah.
It says, the people were not authorized to speak publicly about grand jury proceedings and did so on condition of anonymity. Trump has denied wrongdoing and that he had extramarital affairs, and he blasted the probe in a Truth Social post as a political witch hunt, trying to take down the leading candidate by far in the Republican Party,
By far.
according to Trump. Here's a refresher on how things got to this point. What is the case about? The investigation centers on hush money payments made in 2016 to two women who alleged that they had extramarital encounters with Trump, who has denied their accounts of his infidelity. Specifically, District Attorney Alvin Bragg's team appears to be looking at whether Trump or anyone committed crimes in arranging the payments or in the way they accounted for them internally at the Trump organization. How are the payments made? So this is where it gets dicey. Michael Cohen said paid porn actress Stormy Daniels $130,000 through a shell company Cohen set up. Now, if you got to set up a shell company to pay something off, it's already looking a little fishy.
Right. Yeah.
It's already, it's like, well, we could just set up this company that pays her that nobody knows about, and it won't get to the public. Shell companies always get to the public.
Yeah. There's nothing good about shell companies.
No. I mean, unless you're trying to dodge taxes, then I'm all for it. That is fine. It says, He was then reimbursed by Trump, whose company logged the reimbursements as legal expenses. So there it is right there. He pays Stormy Daniels $130,000 through the shell company. Then Trump pays him and claims these were legal expenses and supposedly writes them off as through his campaign.
So, all right, but question now, is it possible that Trump has plausible deniability? I mean, is it possible that Cohen did this without Trump's knowledge?
That's what they were claiming to begin with, but then factors in the secret recordings of Michael Cohen.
Gotcha.
So apparently there's a little bit more. Like he did know a little more based on those recordings. I think it talks about that in a minute. It says, then it goes on. It says, early in 2016, Cohen also arranged for former Playboy model Karen McDougal to be paid $150,000 by the publisher of the supermarket tabloid The National Enquirer, which squelched her story in a journalistically dubious practice known as catch and kill. So the way this sounds is that this sounds that Trump had the National Enquirer buy the story to squash it. They paid the National Enquirer
for her story,
and so they're saying that's actually the National Enquirer. They're loosely defining this as a campaign contribution from the National Enquirer.
Gotcha.
Even though they're paying her,
right?
But that helped his chances at the election, so that $150,000
was a campaign contribution.
Like, they're semantics here.
Right.
They're like, well, they convinced this guy or this company to pay that woman.
Yeah.
That woman.
Like, I know I owe you $40 for lunch, but I'm gonna give you this gas certificate for $5 to help put towards that.
Right. So even though it's paying off, not Stormy, the other one, Karen McDougal.
Yes.
They're considering that a campaign donation because that somehow influenced because that was influential of the election.
Sure.
The whole goal was to influence it or to
I get that.
somehow...
And that is shady as hell.
Right. It goes on to say Trump's company, the Trump Organization, grossed up Cohen's reimbursement for the Daniels payment for tax purposes, according to federal prosecutors who filed criminal charges against the lawyers in connection with the payments in 2018. So not only did he pay her through the shell company, then he did some kind of like
he declared it on his taxes.
Yeah, probably. Cohen got $360,000 plus a $60,000 bonus for a total of $420,000. Cohen pled guilty to violating federal campaign finance law in connection with the payments. Federal prosecutors say the payments amount to illegal, unreported assistance to Trump's campaign, but they declined to file charges against Trump himself. So federal prosecutors arrested Cohen. Cohen pled guilty. They said, yeah, that was illegal assistance to Trump, but then they're like, yeah, we're not touching that. Yeah. That was back in 2018.
Right.
It says Cohen says Trump directed him to arrange the payment. Cohen also made recordings of conversation in which he and Trump spoke about the arrangement to pay McDougal through the National Enquirer. At one point in the recording, Cohen told Trump, I need to open up a company for transfer of all that info regarding our friend David, referring to David Pecker, who ran the Enquirer's parent company at the time. The poor guy.
Is that like Deep Throat?
Cohen said he had already spoken with the Trump Organization's longtime finance chief, Alan Weisselberg, on how to set the whole thing up. Trump said, what do we got to pay for this? $150? Today, Trump characterizes the attempts to get him to pay money to the women to keep quiet as extortion, which technically it kind of is extortion.
Yeah, it is.
Legal experts say a case could be made that Trump falsified business records by logging Cohen's reimbursement for the Daniels payment as legal fees. But that's only a misdemeanor under New York law, unless prosecutors could prove he falsified records to conceal another crime. So then they start looking at this as, I don't know, this is a lot of just like...
Yeah, legal finagling.
Yeah, like
cooking
hoops
the books.
they're jumping through to make these
to
charges.
hide it.
Well, they're like, calling this legal fees is a misdemeanor, but if they're calling it legal fees to hide a crime, then that's a felony.
Right.
And so that's when they're jumping through loopholes to say, well, technically that was a campaign donation that was unreported because it was $150,000 from blah,
And it
blah,
did
blah,
help his
blah, blah,
campaign,
blah.
so
yes.
yeah.
So a lot of blah, blah, blahs.
Yeah, a lot of blah, blah, blahs.
To say this is a crime.
Yeah.
This is a felony.
Right. And like you said, they had to do a lot of legal finagling on their side to be able to figure that out.
TK says, so how about the Epstein list? Yes. Says a massive pedo ring lives freely among the U.S., and this is top priority. Exactly. Somebody paid somebody money to not say we had sex, and that's the biggest important news right now.
Yeah.
That's what we should be going after them criminally for. Not like the pedo stuff.
Right.
But this. So, where are we at so far?
A lot of legal finagling.
Yeah.
To prove a point.
Yeah. A lot of like backflips and mental gymnastics to say, hey, this is a federal crime. Specifically because what I want to get into the second half, and that's comparing to like some situations of other former presidents or presidential candidates and the semantics of how they made these things work. Like some of them are very similar semantics that they used. And it's just like, that was wrong, right? And they're like, yeah, it was wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
And in this, they're like, jail.
Yeah.
Fucking jail. You got to go to jail, man.
Yeah.
And some of the things I want to talk about, like I mentioned in the intro, are much worse than this.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah.
Yeah.
But jail for Donald Trump. I mean, it's most logical sense in all of this.
Well, but a lot of that is because he has a lot of political opponents, and none of them look at him as legitimate president.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whereas the other ones, it's like, okay, respect of office, we're just gonna let this one go. Not with Trump. They've never looked at him as a legitimate president.
They won't even call it, like, say his name. They'll say my predecessor or that guy
previous
before,
administration.
Or you know the guy that we don't speak of.
Yeah,
it's like Voldemort.
You shall not be named.
Yes. Like on The View, they won't mention his name. Biden calls him my predecessor.
Yeah.
He won't say his.
So he doesn't get that. He doesn't get that distinction of office because he's not recognized.
Maybe side thought. Maybe Trump has like a freaking copyright on his name where they have to pay him every time they say his name. Maybe that's why.
I could see that
because they have Trump Towers, Trump organization.
Yeah,
maybe every time they say his name, they have to pay him like $1, and like we don't want to pay him $1.
So
every
he's the
time
previous. predecessor.
My predecessor, previous that
Administration.
guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Mr. Orange.
I had mentioned that the statute of limitations part and the BS workaround that he had for that. So Bragg, the Attorney General, apparently there's kind of a legal loophole with the statute of limitations being that if the defendant hasn't spent a lot of time in that state that they're prosecuting him, then they just add up the time that he's been in the state, like available in the state, and that's how they kind of get around it. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
That doesn't make sense at all. Yeah.
Well, that would prevent, I guess, people from just fleeing the country and coming back 7 years later and be like, statute of limitations,
Yeah, right.
guy.
Well, you were actually only here for 2 months before you left, and now you're a week, so we still have 5 years.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess sometimes that would be okay, but this is stupid because it's not like he was on the run.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like they knew where he was.
They could have, they could have done
it's
this
not
at
like
any
he was
point.
in a non-extradition country. He was in Florida.
Yeah, and it's not like like they couldn't continue to pursue the case while he's in the White House or while he's in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, shit, they sent the FBI in to raid at Mar-a-Lago. So it's not, it's not like, lack of information because he was out of the state. No, he's right there the whole time.
He's like 6 hours down the coast.
Yeah, because here it is. It says New York statute of limitations for most felonies is 5 years, and for misdemeanors just 2 years. Does that mean prosecutors have run out of time? Trump thinks so. Says, but that's not always how the law works. In New York, the clock can stop on the statute of limitations when a potential defendant is continuously outside the state. Trump visited New York rarely over the 4 years as president and now lives mostly in Florida and New Jersey. So, yeah, legal loopholes. It's like, well, technically, I mean, he wasn't here, so that doesn't count.
Right.
So he's only been here like...
It's not like we could, issue a warrant for New Jersey
Right.
across the bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Extradite him to New York.
Yeah.
I don't know. This whole thing is just,
Stupid.
it sounds very stretching. Sounds like
Yeah.
they're really stretching here to make this thing happen.
It's about as thin as you can get.
Yeah. But, I mean, they're going with it, I guess.
Yeah, they are. And again, everybody involved seems really excited for it.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know. Again, I think both sides are really excited for it.
Oh, fuck yeah, yeah.
I think both parties would love to see him march down in handcuffs.
You
for
think Trump
different
show up
reasons.
with like cornrows?
Oh my God. The prison tattoo.
Yeah, a
on-
little teardrop.
like a teardrop on his eye. Yep. It's like, I served time. Have you served time? Because I've served time, Jeff. I've served. He's like Prison Mike
Yeah.
on The Office when Michael Scott's playing Prison Mike. We got to get into break. Why don't we get back? Like I said, I want to like compare this to some of the other politicians, and then I want to get into like, is he going to go to jail, and what that looks like, and is this going to like end his campaign? Because there are answers for that. We can sit here and like pontificate if Trump gets arrested, do you think he can still run? No, we don't have to. There's actually legal answers to that. And the answer might surprise you. It's yes, he can still run.
That doesn't
But,
surprise
we'll talk about that when we come back. We're going to take 2 or 3 minutes, take a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue down this shit show of the possibility of Trump being indicted. We will be right back.
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all this politics constantly surrounding you is not the way to achieve freedom in your life? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I ask myself the same question. That's why I'm on a journey to find true freedom in my lifetime. From learning about financial independence, to new ways to develop rugged individualism, to amazing guests living strange, crazy, amazing lifestyles that you've only thought might be real, but actually are. Go ahead and check out my new show, On the Run with Remso W. Martinez at the We Are Libertarians Network. You can find On the Run with Remso W. Martinez on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You know how the internet works. Come on down and let's discover how to achieve real freedom in your life together.
Hey everybody, I just want to take this time to give a big shout out to the very first sponsor of the Break the Bell podcast. That is Goulash Media. They can be found at goulashmedia.net. Goulash Media specializes in graphic design, web design, audio recordings, video work, wedding videos, music videos, even political campaign videos. Goulash Media caters to the little guy with the big vision. You can check them out at goulashmedia.net. That's GOULASH media.net.
I know it's not a good time for you. You've got too much on your mind to be so conscious and not just believing every story thrown away. And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We hold a candle like vigil for your self-respect. Reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be the faceless in between. Because I know you can handle it. To face the truth of the matter, it's still so much better to leave the light than drag it to your grave.
And we're back.
Yes.
Talking about the possible indictment of Donald Trump. And first, before we get into that, I want to read my description. I mean, you guys can go see it if you want, but my description was, days ago, Donald Trump predicted he would be arrested this week. What his opponents have been screaming for since he took office. The charges are hush money for consensual sex. Will the charges stick and mark the end of his political dynasty, or will the perp walk bolster his campaign support as a political prisoner? And you reposted this, and you got some comments on it, and so we want to address those comments.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the people that comment the way like you're commenting probably aren't people that are actually going to watch this. I wouldn't assume, because maybe they will. So
maybe,
if you're listening,
maybe they're into the show.
But if you're not, a lot of times people that comment against what your headline is don't even bother to watch the show, and that's just freaking annoying to me. First of all. Yeah. So if you are one of these people, I want to address these as best as possible.
Yes.
So go ahead.
All right. So first comment: consensual sex, maybe. But why, if it was so innocent, would you pay $130,000 for it?
Who cares? That's my answer to that. Who cares if somebody decided I don't want anybody to know about this? That is not a crime to pay somebody and say, "Hey, I'll pay you to stop talking."
Right.
It's not a crime. I mean, if you threaten them, that's a crime.
Right.
Or if you threaten to extort them, that's a crime.
Right.
But to say, "Hey, if I give you this, consensually give you this, will you consensually not say anything about that?" That's not a crime. I mean, it doesn't matter what the circumstances were behind it. That alone is not a crime, and it's no evidence of a crime. It can't be used in court as a crime. That's not a crime. So
and as we said, I mean, celebrities and athletes do it all the time, right? It says, just let it go. But when you claim it as a campaign expense, there is the crime. Next time you get a hooker, try deducting it as a mortgage expense.
And we did.
I will try that.
We've addressed that. We have said that's where it gets a little dicey.
That's
retarded to decide. We're just gonna pay this off with campaign funds. Yeah, that's a little.
Or someone saying, "Hey, I'll take care of this for you," and we'll just say it's a deduction to.
Yeah, we'll just deduct
your
it
campaign,
from legal fees.
Right?
Yep.
Another comment: hush money for consensual sex leaves out some nuance. It happened right after his wife gave birth to their son. He was not only trying to keep it from the electorate, but from his wife. Cheater and liar, and that's just his wife. He's on his third wife.
Okay, first of all, let's address that. He only paid it off to keep it from his wife. First of all, I say bullshit. His wife knows he's a playboy.
Yeah.
She knows that he goes and hangs out with Victoria's Secret models and Playboy models and porn stars. She knows this. She was one of them.
Right. Yeah.
She was a model that he just decided to hook up with, and he happened to be lucky enough to be like, that was so good, I really want to marry you. And he probably was drunk when he said it. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, right.
And he's like,
we're in on it. Yeah, I mean, and there's no denying the fact that Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Everybody knows that. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. Maybe not everybody will admit it. So, I mean, that's not the question. The question is that should he be brought up on charges for doing something that we're pretty sure other presidential candidates, definitely politicians, have done, if not worse, like we are going to get into.
Yeah, and the comment, cheater, liar, whatever, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people on the others that are anti-Trump assume that because we question this, that we're pro-Trump.
No, just
but
the
we're
opposite.
Not. I will agree with you. Donald Trump is a cheater and a liar and an all-around scumbag piece of shit. Should this stick as charges with everything else around? No, probably not. I don't think so, because this is so. I mean, it's so minor compared to some of the other stuff.
Yeah, and it's like if you're gonna get them for something that is legit.
Yeah,
right. Don't jump through the legal hoops to try to make something stick because you don't like the guy.
Right. It's like, well, I mean, supposedly you've got classified doc stuff. Supposedly you got destroying evidence stuff. It's like you don't have something legit to stick at him. Yeah. I mean, this is what you had. Again, it goes back to what they got Al Capone for, which I mean, it's probably a good thing they got Al Capone off the streets. I mean, he was a really bad dude.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. This is so stretching. So let's get into, because the theme is unprecedented.
Right.
So we had the unprecedented
authority,
like abuse of
Abuse
authority.
authority, yeah.
The unprecedented fact that they are indicting a former president.
Mhm.
And now I gotta ask, is offering hush money, is that unprecedented for a presidential candidate? Is that
I'm going to say no. I mean, Kennedy was famous for philandering, right?
Yes. Think of Marilyn Monroe.
I was going to say at least.
Yeah. I mean,
one of many.
We won't get into my theories about that, too. I mean, she did die unexpectedly after people found out about that kind of stuff. And again, that goes back to Stormy Daniels should feel lucky she didn't mysteriously overdose of drugs. I don't know. I'm not saying that the Kennedys did that, but I mean, there are theories out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That they just decided to shut. She became a liability because she was already on drugs and stuff, and she became a liability. So I mean, there's theories out there. But is this unprecedented for a president or a presidential candidate to offer hush money? The answer is absolutely not. Fuck no. Like a big no. Because let's talk first. I did an episode without you with my brother about the Clinton body count. And we talked a lot about some of the Clinton wheelings and dealings.
Yeah.
And one thing we didn't get too deep into was Clinton's extramarital relationships, which there's a lot of.
Yes.
Donald Trump, there's a lot of. Bill Clinton, they probably give each other a run for each other's money on extramarital affairs.
Oh, I mean, they're buddies.
Yeah.
They probably even tag team Stormy a couple times.
Oh, that's gross. That's really gross. Now, Donald Trump is accused of paying $130,000 in hush money to Stormy Daniels, a consensual relationship. Both sides agree that was right. Well, not so much. Trump says it never happened. Stormy doesn't say he raped her or anything. It was a consensual relationship.
Right.
Now, Bill Clinton apparently paid $850,000 of hush money to Paula Jones, which wasn't a consensual relationship, which was this guy raped me and then paid me off to be quiet.
Yeah.
A little bit of difference there.
A little bit.
Maybe that's why the charges are different, because of this different scenario. This is so much worse.
Oh, yeah.
And more money. So this is from trib247.com. Says Clinton's $850,000 hush money to Paula Jones. That was then, this is now. So this is comparing the two as well. Says Democrats were quite content to look the other way when President Bill Clinton paid $850,000 in hush money to Paula Jones after she accused him of sexually abusing her. When it's Donald Trump and involved a $130,000 payment to a porn star, Stormy Daniels, over an alleged consensual sexual encounter in 2006, the same Democrats want the book thrown at the former president and for him to be held in jail without bail. Wow. Clinton, who was also accused of raping Juanita Broderick, never faced criminal charges. If Trump, who leads by wide margins in polls for 2024, is indicted and booked in jail, he will be the first former president in the U.S. history to be arrested after leaving office. So this one, it's Ulysses S. Grant that got arrested for speeding in a horse and buggy. He was arrested.
Wow, that must have been a hell of a horse.
It was the only known record of a sitting president being arrested, and Donald Trump will be the only record of a former president being arrested. Says in 1998, the Washington Post reported that President Clinton reached an out-of-court settlement with Paula Jones yesterday, agreeing to pay her $850,000 to drop the sexual harassment lawsuit. That led to the worst political crisis of his career and only the third presidential impeachment inquiry in American history. Just hours before the settlement was inked yesterday, Starr sent, so this is a past report, Starr sent new evidence to the House Judiciary Committee stemming from a witness in the Jones case, Kathleen E. Willey, who also accused Clinton of an unwelcoming sexual advance. The extraordinary case came to an extraordinary finale, with the defendant agreeing to pay $850,000, even though the plaintiff only originally asked for $700,000 when she filed suit, and even though the case was dismissed without a trial. So they're claiming that this $850,000 for her to be quiet. Now, fact checkers have come to the rescue and said, no, this was not hush money. That's not. I don't have it. But the fact checker said this wasn't hush money. This was a settlement out of court.
Oh, that makes it better.
Makes this so much better.
It's to help the emotional therapy that she needs after being raped.
Yeah, like well, this was a court settlement, not hush money, but they paid her to not continue to pursue the lawsuit, which, in a way, kind of is
Hush money.
Hush money, and it kind of. If we're going back to some of those comments, it's like, if you didn't do anything wrong, what do you need to pay the hush money for?
Right.
It's like, you're obviously covering something up, and if we're going on the fact that Donald Trump clearly did something wrong because he paid to cover something up, well, Bill Clinton paid $850,000 when he was only being asked to pay $700,000 in the lawsuit. He paid more just to get this thing to go away. And that was one of many incidents of Bill Clinton that he just wanted to go away. Same thing.
I would even say that Clinton's is probably a little bit worse, considering it was, sexual assault.
Now, the difference is that...
And also a felony.
Yes. Now, the difference is he didn't use campaign money for it.
Oh,
so that's
there we go.
So he can rape all he wants as long as he doesn't pay her off with campaign funds.
Okay.
That's where the big difference is here.
That makes
now,
sense.
if you pay it off with campaign funds, then we have a freaking problem because we don't
that
want
pushes it over the edge.
We don't want to defraud the political campaign process. Sure. You just pay the rape funds out of your pocket.
That makes better sense.
Yes, absolutely. Now, what do you think? Do you think there's more people that have at least offered hush money?
Yeah, I would probably say so.
Think about Obama. Do you think Obama, with his impeccable record, do you think he had any hush money issues?
Oh, I'm sure he did, yes.
Barack Obama offered Jeremiah Wright $150,000 just to stop talking.
That doesn't surprise me.
Just to stop.
I remember when he was talking.
Yeah, remember, like, that was the big thing. They're like, well, he's directly
have come home to roost.
They're connecting him directly to Jeremiah Wright, who was he was his pastor, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was his pastor to his church.
And he had these very, very like I don't know.
I believe he came out and said America deserved 9/11.
Yes. So he's a little bit of a on the edge, the far left edge, extremist type sentiments. It says, Edward Klein broke the story in the New York Post May 13, 2012, the same year Obama was reelected, that Obama's team tried to buy Wright's silence during the 2008 campaign. According to Wright, so this is coming from Wright's own mouth. This isn't coming from some unknown, unreliable source like Michael Cohen. This is coming from Jeremiah Wright. He was offered $150,000 through an Obama intermediary, and Obama himself tried to persuade him to keep quiet. So this was the interview with Jeremiah Wright. It says, did Obama himself ever make an effort to see you? Yes, Wright said. Barack said he wanted to meet in a secret, secure place. And I said, you're used to coming to my home. You've been here countless times. What's wrong with coming to my home? So we met in the living room of the parsonage of the Trinity United Church of Christ at South Pleasant Avenue, right off 95th Street. Just Barack and me. I don't know if he had a wire on him. His security was outside somewhere. And one of the first things Barack said was, I really wish you wouldn't do any more public speaking until after November election. Says he knew I had some speaking engagements linked up and said, I wish you wouldn't speak. It's going to hurt the campaign if you do that. So he very clearly said, I want you to stop. It's going to hurt my campaign. Here's $150,000.
Yeah.
Hush money. I mean, that's the definition of hush. It's literally saying, please stop talking.
Don't talk.
I will pay you money.
Just go to the Bahamas for like a month.
Yes. Says, so we have Barack Obama wanting to meet in secret and secure location, urging Wright to keep quiet for the sake of his presidential campaign, and offered $150,000 in hush money from a close Obama friend and likely a campaign donor as well. Wright didn't accept the hush money, but by his account, Obama is guilty of everything Trump is being accused of. Isn't that interesting?
Is this a recent article then?
Probably about 2018. Yep, 2018 when the feds were bringing charges to him. So even Jeremiah Wright's like, what are you talking about? Obama did that with me.
Yeah.
And that's interesting for somebody like Jeremiah Wright.
Yeah.
To say about somebody like Donald Trump.
Yes.
And his close buddy, Barack Obama.
My guess is when he offered him that money, that kind of severed the relationship.
Yeah, maybe. He's just like, would you just shut the fuck up? And
Yeah,
he's
because
like,
that's one thing. Jeremiah, right?
He's like, I thought you stood for everything I stood for, and I
Right.
thought that's what this whole thing was about.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. But now you want me to stop talking?
Yeah.
It's like it's pretty much like a slap in the face
Yeah,
to
absolutely it
everything
was.
that they stood for,
Yes.
supposedly. So, yeah, I could understand that where he would be a little offended by, hey, if you just shut up, I'll give you money.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, wait, we've had these conversations.
Right.
You
I
said
thought we were the
that
same team.
you were supposed to restore order to the force.
Yeah, right. I loved you.
I hate you. So that brings me to the Steele dossier.
That's one of my favorites.
This one's one of my favorites, not only because of who it was involving, Hillary Clinton. I mean, she's not a president by any stretch, so we can't. So that's the difference there.
Not even close.
But now remember their claims that, well, this was campaign thing because they set up this thing, they paid it, and then they reimbursed it and claimed it was legal fees through the campaign. Remember, we talked about that with Trump. Now, did you know just under a year ago that the Clinton campaign and the DNC agreed to pay a fine for doing the Steele, for paying for the Steele dossier? Because remember we talked about, hey, this just came out that the DNC very much did fund the Steele dossier. I didn't realize that they're like, yeah, we'll pay this fine, which sounds like they're kind of taking responsibility. Like they're saying, yeah, we did that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nobody's saying we didn't do that. We definitely did that.
Yeah.
So the Steele dossier was definitely a smear piece from
the DNC.
The DNC. So this is the article talking about how they agreed to pay that fine. As it says, Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign and the DNC have agreed to pay $113,000 to settle a federal election commission investigation into whether they violated campaign finance law by misreporting spending on research that eventually became the infamous Steele dossier. It says, according to the documents sent Tuesday to the Coolidge-Reagan Foundation, which had filed an administration complaint in 2018 accusing the Democrats of misreporting payments made to the law firm during the campaign to obscure the spending. The Clinton campaign hired Perkins Coie, which then hired Fusion GPS, a research and intelligence firm, to conduct opposition research on Republican candidate Donald Trump's ties to Russia. But on the FEC forms, the Clinton campaign classified the spending as legal services. By intentionally obscuring their payments through the Perkins Coie, is that Coie?
I thought it was Cole.
I thought it was Cole, but they keep putting it with an I. And failing to publicly disclose the true purpose of the payments, the campaign and DNC were able to avoid publicly reporting on their statutorial required FEC disclosure forms the fact that they were paying Fusion GPS to perform opposition research on Trump with the intent of influencing outcome of 2016 presidential election. So it's there. I mean, they talk about election collusion, election influencing.
Right there.
It's there. The FEC made the claim, and they're like, "Yeah, we did that. Here, we'll take the slap on the wrist. We'll take the fine."
And this is literally what Trump did. Right?
Yes, this is
legal fees.
From a legal standpoint, this is exactly the same thing. Like, what the hell is the difference? Like, on one hand, you've got a guy that used campaign money to keep info from coming out and said this is legal fees. On the other hand, you have a person that used campaign money to make info come out and said this was legal fees. Same thing, just like instead of hiding info, we're making info come to light. Like we're bringing it out.
But you're still lying about it.
And
you're still
covering
claiming
it up. The thing that they're supposedly sticking as the federal crime.
Yes.
Because the paying off for hush wasn't the crime. It was the using
of campaign funds
and not disclosing it and saying that it was legal fees.
Yes.
That was the crime that they're going off of. But it's fine when it's Hillary Clinton, obviously.
Right. Because she'll never be president.
It says the Clinton campaign agreed to a civil penalty of $8,000 and the DNC $105,000, according to a pair of conciliatory agreements that were attached to the letter sent to the Coolidge-Reagan Foundation. So instead of indictments and jail time.
Yeah.
Her campaign's paid $8,000. That's all she's on the
Slap
hook
on the
for.
wrist.
And it's her campaign, not her. Her campaign
Oh, yeah.
is on the hook for $8,000. The Steele dossier was a report compiled by former British spy Christopher Steele and financed by Democrats that included salacious allegations about Trump's conduct in Russia, an allegation about ties between Trump campaign and Russia. The dossier has been largely discredited since its publication, with core aspects of the material exposed as unsupported and unproven rumors.
I'm sure it's true.
I mean, there's probably some stuff in it that's true, but I don't. Yeah, the rumors being him colluding with Russia to influence
that part. Yes,
yeah,
not
that's
true.
all a bunch of freaking like speculation and rumors and nothing to stick.
We all know you can't listen to Great Britain about anything when it comes there, right? Weapons of mass destruction, Russia getting ready to invade Ukraine, which later turned out to be true, but not until Great Britain said it.
So I mean, like what? How does that make you feel knowing that the Clinton campaign got an $8,000 fine?
Oh, yeah.
And Trump is getting potentially jail time.
Yeah.
But in the very least, like an indictment that could go be like a felony on his record for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Like how do you reconcile the two of those and not say that this is a political hit piece? This is a misuse of the justice system as a political weapon, like the Republicans are calling it. How do you not call it that when Hillary Clinton basically did the same thing?
Yeah.
It's just maybe not as gross because we weren't paying off a hooker.
Right. Yeah.
That's how they would play it off. It's like, well, this was like, it was just, this was this salacious act because it was consensual sex with a hooker.
Right.
And not even a hooker, but a porn star, which is legal.
Right. Yes.
And on this hand, it was like, well, we were just trying to bring transparency to. We wanted the public to know what this was all about. We weren't hiding it. It's like this was a fucking hit piece, is what it was.
Exactly. No, I agree. I mean, when you compare everything we went through, yes, what Bill Clinton did, 100 times worse. Mm-hmm. What Obama did,
probably
lack of integrity, but whatever.
Yeah, probably maybe as bad. Maybe
I was gonna say more of a hit to his reputation with his own people. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. And what Hillary did is exactly the same thing.
Like verbatim.
Yes.
The same goddamn thing. And the only difference I would say is Trump was doing it to not smear his own image.
Right.
Hillary was doing it to smear somebody else's image.
Right. Yeah.
That's the difference. It's like I'm just trying to make myself look good. And I'm trying to make him look bad.
Yeah.
And so
that nobody looks worse than Hillary.
No. So I just want to put that in perspective. If you're out there saying, Donald Trump does deserve jail time. Well, maybe, but all these other fucking assholes do too.
Absolutely.
Like specifically the Clintons definitely deserve jail time.
Fuck yeah.
And if you want to play those some freaking semantics that they were saying on those comments we read, then you got to apply that to Hillary Clinton. Well, if she wasn't doing anything wrong, then why did she hide it under the term like legal fees? Why'd she have to hide that at all? If it wasn't wrong, like why hide it? I mean, that doesn't mean it's wrong. That doesn't mean you're guilty of something, but playing by the same rules is what I'm saying. So, and we don't in politics. You don't play by the same rules.
No,
which is
never.
Which is the bullshit of all of it. So let's move on, I guess. Do you think Donald Trump goes to jail in all of this?
No.
No?
No. I don't think so. Like I said, I just think it's all political theater.
Rolling Stone,
of course,
has their opinion of this. I mean, because they're legal experts and political experts and stuff. So Rolling Stone asked a lawyer, could Trump really go to jail? Because it talks about... This isn't going to show any bias from Rolling Stone
no,
at all.
Not at all.
It says, after an attempted extortion of Ukrainian President Zelensky, criminally obstructing the Russian probe, encouraging a mob to attack the U.S. Capitol to prevent the orderly transfer of power that resulted in several deaths, keeping sensitive national defense information for its trophy value, and assorted lesser grifts and grafts over the past 6 years, Donald Trump is on the cusp of indictment in New York County for, drumroll, falsifying business records in the first degree. It says first degree sounds oppressive, but in New York, this crime is designated as a Class E nonviolent felony, the lowest felony level in the New York's grading system. So it says, I'll jump ahead to what. So did you hear the non-biasness of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
They
yes.
didn't like
right down the middle.
Yeah, straight up the middle. We just want to make sure the facts are the facts.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Rolling Stone.
I mean, I think they put more effort into that first sentence than they do the whole rest
I'm
of the
surprised that's not the title of the article.
It says, I'll jump ahead to where you really want to know. Yes, he could go to prison. The max penalty for this offense is 1 1/3 to 4 years. If such a penalty were imposed, he would serve 1 1/3 years before becoming eligible for parole, and he would be out with good behavior in 2 2/3 years. But there is no mandatory minimum sentence. If convicted, he could be sentenced to a few anger management programs. So there's no minimum.
Yeah.
The max is potentially 4 years, but out on good behavior in 2 2/3. Says the trial is at least a year or more away. Even upon conviction, there could be years more of appeals. How long can this drag out? Long enough for at least half of MSNBC's audience to shuffle off this mortal coil, and Generation Alpha will be voting by then. That's sad.
That is.
Says, so what is the crime? So then it goes and talks about the crime, the $130,000. It talks about all that stuff. But basically all that to say, yes, he could go to jail. The odds of it happening, not likely.
Right.
And if he does go to jail, it's not going to be very long.
16 months.
Yeah.
Probably.
And that will come after probably 8 years of appeals.
And it's not going to be like the Supermax.
No.
You're looking at Country Club Med.
Yeah.
Right?
He'll probably get like...
He'll play golf. Probably still have hookers come visit him.
I was going to say maybe he gets like house...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's that called?
Little ankle bracelet there, so he can't leave.
Where he can't leave his property, which is like the size of a small city.
Right. Yeah.
So he's fine.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
So according to Rolling Stone, even though he is a disgusting human being, he probably won't get much for jail time. Even though they probably want him to get more jail time. So,
of course.
So possibly, depending on the judge, I guess.
Yeah.
Depending on how non-biased the judge is in all of this. Because he could be like, max sentence. And he's like, oh, no.
Yeah. 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
But he's not going to get like the 18 years with no parole that everybody's wanting. You know, like for treason and espionage and all this shit. He's going to get...
But let's be honest. All they really want is him to not run for president. Right?
So, with that said...
Yes.
If he's arrested... If he's indicted, if he's charged, he's sentenced, even to a couple of years in jail. Is he out of the running then? Does that make him out of the running?
I mean, I would say yes, but I'm sure you're going to say otherwise.
No. No. Even if he's in jail at the time, he can still run for president. From jail. From a jail cell, he can run for president. Do you know why? Because we have this thing called the Constitution, and the Constitution does not ban somebody sitting in jail from running for president. They have very few stipulations. 1, you're natural born. 2, you're 35. And 3, you have to have like been a resident in the United States for like 14 years or something.
So having a felony under you. Well, if to be honest, if having a felony, that would discount like 95% of the people that have ran.
Probably. So, because this from the Insider says, here's how Donald Trump could theoretically run for president in 2024 from prison.
I want him to run for president.
And govern the U.S. from behind bars, according to 9 legal scholars. I love that picture, first of all.
Awesome.
It says, picture this. It's 9 p.m. on January 13th, 2026, a Tuesday, and you tune in to your favorite cable news network to watch the president's annual State of the Union address. But this year, the president doesn't take a bulletproof limo from the White House to the Capitol. Gone are the hundreds of members of Congress traditionally in attendance. Instead, the commander-in-chief is wearing an orange jumpsuit. His message streamed to lawmakers and into your living room via Zoom from his prison cell. Yes, this scenario is equally far-fetched and outlandish in the extreme, but it's also possible. Law experts told Insider, particularly given former President Donald Trump's mounting legal woes and the announcement that he is again running for president. Those legal problems intensified in dramatic fashion this summer as the FBI reportedly searched his Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. It talks about all his legal woes and blah, blah, blah. We've talked about all this stuff. We don't need a recap. Says, and for months, the U.S. January 6th Select Committee has built decidedly public case that Trump was intimately involved in the deadly attack. We got to throw that in there, too.
Of course.
If Trump landed in prison, nothing in the Constitution would block him from continuing the White House run, according to 9 legal experts interviewed by Insider. The Constitution requires only presidential candidates are natural-born U.S. citizens who are at least 35 and have been residents for at least 13 or 14 years. And practically anyone, even fictional characters, can take the first step towards the White House by filing organizational paperwork with the Federal Election Commission.
Well,
How can fictional characters do that if they have to be legal residents?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I know a lot of people
Write in Mickey Mouse.
will write
shit.
in, yeah, shit like that.
Says if he happens to be in prison at the time of the next presidential election, the fact that he's in prison will not prevent him from running. It says running for president for prison has in fact been done before twice.
Really?
The socialist presidential candidate Eugene Debs was incarcerated in federal prison in Atlanta in 1920 when he won 3.5% of the national vote. President Warren G. Harding later pardoned him, Debs, who had been convicted of treason under the Espionage Act for vocal opposition to the U.S. involvement in World War I. Did you know that if you are vocally opposed to a war, apparently you can be convicted of treason under the Espionage Act?
Yes, I did know that.
I was not
Yes.
aware of that, and
Yes.
I look back at the times that on this show we have vocally opposed wars. Derek Ambrose is here. Derek, how's it going? Derek says, would he still get a Secret Service detail in prison? I think he would have to, and it
Well,
sucks
yeah.
to be those guys.
Right? Don't want to get shanked.
Then he goes on to say, Biden ran for president from a basement.
That's
yes,
true.
if Biden can do it and be sleeping the whole time,
Yeah.
Donald Trump can do it from a jail cell. Lyndon LaRouche also ran for president in 1992 from a prison cell after he was convicted of mail fraud in 1988. People go to prison for mail fraud? Whether Trump could run for president from prison he has not been charged with a crime. They got to specify that. It says, is therefore an easy question to answer, according to legal scholars. From there, matters get more complicated. So yes, he can run, but it says campaigning from even a minimum security prison would be stilted and at worst darn near impossible. No, because Biden did it from his basement, especially for a candidate such as Trump, who thrives on in-person rallies that draw 5-figure crowds. Now they're willing to say that he has big crowds.
Yeah,
Remember,
right, exactly.
When he's campaigning,
It's
they're like,
oh, nobody wants to see him.
yeah, he only had like 25 people at his
Yeah, but think
last
about catering to the prison crowd, right?
Right.
You'd be like Johnny Cash, right?
Exactly. I mean, it would be brilliant.
It would be.
Somehow convincing tens of millions of Americans, except prisoners can't vote, so he's out there.
Yeah.
Convincing tens of millions of Americans that an incarcerated septuagenarian was fit to lead the free world would prove an equally monumental challenge. But
Biden
would
did
not,
it.
It would not be hard to convince them that this guy, Donald Trump in prison,
Yeah.
is fit to be president.
Yeah.
You got a dead guy that's fit to be president. You've got a guy that is like has literally half a brain that is like on Congress right now.
Right.
And yeah, it's not hard to convince the public.
No.
It says, but say voters decide to elect him anyway. From prison, Trump would be subject to the same rules as other prisoners, which could restrict their communication and ability to appear at events. He would need to rely on proxies to campaign for him.
That's not a problem.
Wouldn't it be hard?
Yeah.
Then there are the chaos-induced unknowns. Would Trump use his power to make his life cushier? Would he attempt to pardon himself? Probably. How would he defend himself if he faced a third impeachment
Secret Service.
trial?
Oh.
Let's scroll down. For ballot access, many states of play. Says if imprisoned Trump kept running for president and won. Said if an imprisoned Trump kept running for president and won the Republican nominee, this alone wouldn't guarantee his name would appear on state ballots in November. State legislatures, particularly in Democratic-led states, could attempt to pass laws that would make it more difficult for him to qualify on the ballot.
But the states that do that, he probably wouldn't win anyway.
Probably, yeah, exactly. The states that would
California,
be willing to put that
Illinois,
on the ballot, say
New York, Michigan.
you can't run as an imprisoned, incarcerated individual. They'd be like, well, we weren't going to vote for that guy anyway, so it's not going to change anything. As of February 2017, 18 states introduced bills that looked at requiring presidential candidates to disclose income tax returns to be placed on the general election ballot. Those bills gave Democrats plenty of headlines but didn't go far. So they're saying you can throw this on the ballot, but it's not really going to change a whole lot.
Yeah.
During 2020, efforts continued. The Illinois Senate voted to compel Trump to release 5 years of personal tax income. He has famously refused to release them or be barred from appearing on the ballot. The measure never cleared the House and therefore didn't become law. They're basically saying they can try, but it's not really going to go anywhere. So it says, then there's matters of competition. A host of other Republicans, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Did you know Mike Pence was running for president?
I suspect it because
Do you
he
think
showed up in Iowa.
Mike Pence is going to have any shot of getting president?
He's the Republican Al Gore. He's so fucking boring. No one's
well,
going to vote for him.
And he shot himself in the foot by kind of turning on Trump.
Yeah,
Whether he likes to, he wanted to distance himself from Trump, but the majority of the Republican Party that's going to win elections is, I'm sorry to say it, it's Trump supporters.
Yeah.
So when you when you are seen as the anti-Trump Republican,
right? Yeah,
you're not going to win. It's not going to go anywhere. Glenn Youngkin, Larry Hogan, and Tim Scott of South Carolina, and then some other Mike Pompeo even.
Oh, really?
Possibly Liz Cheney.
She's going nowhere.
Are among Republicans who might be considered challenge a weakening Trump or a weakened Trump in a GOP presidential primary, no matter Trump's legal status. I don't see it. It talks about the nuclear football in an adjacent cell. In the Oval Office, Trump conducted business at the ornate Resolute desk. From prison, he'd likely have little more than a metal table. But Trump could probably do a lot of the chief executive's job from a prison cell, with some accommodations, according to legal scholars. First, he could take the oath of office there, as nothing within the Constitution requires a president to be at any particular location. President Lyndon Johnson took his oath on Air Force One, famously, after JFK's death. After taking oath, Trump could theoretically do from prison cell many of the things presidents normally do. He said, or he could issue pardons, veto bills, issue executive orders, sign legislation. It says some presidents have described the White House as a prison, but the Constitution doesn't specify that that's the only prison you could occupy in order to serve as president. One constitutional requirement for a president is a periodic State of the Union address. We already talked about that. Another logistical question. What would happen to the nuclear football, a briefcase that's supposed to stay near the president that holds the codes needed to launch an attack? Would the military aide who carries the briefcase be in an adjacent cell, he asked rhetorically. Yes. What's quite likely is that Secret Service agents would protect and imprison Trump, according to the former federal enforcement officials. Being president comes with some powers that could help Trump improve his situation. But that depends a lot on where he winds up. If he wound up in federal prison, he'd likely have more sway. He could attempt to issue a presidential self-pardon, but that's never been tested, and it's legally murky whether that would hold up in court. There's just a lot of what ifs and stuff. So, I don't know. What do you think so far? What do you think of all this?
It would definitely be fun to see. I don't think he's going to jail, but I would love to see him run for president from a jail cell.
I mean, yes,
I think that'd be
fantastic.
Awesome. That should be a show.
Derek says, I kind of want him to win and be in a prison just for the headlines. Trump pardons entire prison population. Trump invites Playboy bunnies to his max security pad. I mean, the headlines would be gold. Absolutely fucking gold.
Yes.
And everything he did would be gold. And we would have just like content for 4 years straight. What Trump does in prison as the president of the United States. I mean, it'd just be fantastic.
Yeah. Be like, well, president can't come and meet you, Mr. Putin, but you can visit him on between 8 and 5 Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So, would you say the benefits to indicting Trump outweigh the benefits for his opponents to indict him outweigh the obvious issues that they might have, like him just feeding off this fucking frenzy?
No, I don't. The only benefit I see is that it's taking the spotlight off Biden.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I just don't see it going anywhere.
the great Elon Musk put it
Oh.
best when he said, if this happens, Trump will be reelected in a landslide victory. And people lost their fucking minds saying that he's like a Trump supporter. No, he's saying exactly what we're saying. It's like, you perp walk him, you arrest him, you indict him. It doesn't, like, he's going to fucking win.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
You're
he's
proving
going
his
to win.
case for him.
Yes. Like, again, he would be the one that would love to put on the handcuffs, be perp walked out amongst everybody because, he's now a political prisoner. He is, like you said, Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
He's a political prisoner, and he has that for his resume of they're out to get me. They're out to get me resume. He's like, well, they spent the first 4 years like fighting me and trying to throw everything at me. They impeached me twice. That's how much of a threat I am to them. They impeached me twice. Two times they did that, and then they raided my home, my Bigley home in Mar-a-Lago, and then I was arrested and I went to jail. I did time, bitches. Yeah. Did you do time, Ron DeSantis? No, you didn't do time. I served time.
Are going to be driving around with an orange fist on their bumper that says "Free Trump."
Yeah, let Trump go. It's like on the Santa Claus. Let Santa go. There's going to be a little girl. There's going to be a video on a campaign video of a little girl standing outside. It's like, what are you doing? Let Trump go. Let him go. Mommy, why are they arresting him? And that's going to be that's going to be his campaign video. And he's going to be like, I am a political prisoner. Vote for Donald J. Trump. 2024.
Yeah. It's,
I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you capitalize on that?
Oh, yes.
I mean, he is the man that could do it too. Like there's so many politicians that's like, I don't want to do anything. Like don't arrest me. I'll step down. I'll resign. He's just like, fucking arrest me. Arrest me. It'll be great. It'll be great for all of us.
He would even call up TMZ and Entertainment Tonight.
Did you hear the news? Donald J. Trump got arrested. They're like, we know.
But they're coming right now to get me.
But I was arrested. I'm a politician. I'm a prisoner. That makes me a political prisoner. That's not how it works. But I am a political
Putin
prisoner.
does this to guys all the time.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is absolutely right. He will win. I guarantee you, if they indict him, they arrest him, he will win. 100% hands down. He will win. Because they're out to get him. They're out to get all of us. They are threatening democracy as we know it by arresting the bigliest campaigner in the Republican Party.
Yes. The
greatest president, current front runner, the greatest president in the history of presidents.
Right.
He will win. So, just want to finish that. Like, we're about out of time. Do you got anything else to add to the series, as serious as we've gotten on this? Because I want to end this on a amazing note.
No, I think we're covering everything.
Do you think they indict him this week? Do you think they will indict him?
I think they will.
You
I
think
so?
They will.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll end this. We'll end the questions now, and then we're going to end it with this wonderful golden article here, this opinion piece from MSNBC about all of this. So, question 1: do they indict him? You say no. I say yes. Or you say yes. I absolutely think they will indict him. They've been trying for.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you? At this point, you've been trying for 7 years to get him on something. Again, should they indict him? No, because they probably have a very thin case that's going to be a laughingstock.
Yes. Yeah. But Trump is going to play it for the circus it is.
Yeah. Number 2, does he go to jail? Does he serve any time?
No.
Does he even? Do they put handcuffs on him?
No.
He's going to put handcuffs on himself.
Yeah, he'll show up with his own fuzzy.
I was going to say they're going to be furry handcuffs.
Orange fuzzy.
They're going to be the ones Stormy Daniels left at his house just to stick it to her.
Yeah. Like, look, Stormy, I still got them.
You recognize these, baby? All right, number 3. Does Donald Trump win at 24? If indicted, which you say he does get indicted, does he win? Because
I definitely think he's got a stronger case than what he did before.
Like, how much stronger? Like,
I would say, before I would have given him maybe like a 40% chance. I would say this pushes him to about 70.
Now, I think potentially yes, but potentially it's too early in the game.
Yeah,
they should.
It is.
Like, for Trump, he would have wanted them to indict him in like July of next year.
Yeah. Yes.
Because then it's like fresh in everybody's minds. It's like, remember I got arrested like last week? This is going to go nowhere.
Yeah.
If it does, he gets a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
And then by November next year, people are like, oh, yeah, that thing happened.
Yeah.
You know how the news cycle works.
Absolutely.
So I think it could be really beneficial to him if it was later in the cycle.
You could always appeal it and keep appealing it until it gets further into the...
it's not the initial shock of him getting arrested.
That's true. That's true, yeah.
Like,
right.
the arrest is what people are going to remember.
Yeah. It's the pictures, it's the press.
And nobody talks about appeals.
That's true.
Ever.
That's true. Yeah, look at the J6 thing.
Yeah. He probably is going to appeal to get jail time. That's what he will do. It's like,
Right.
no, I'm
Are
going
you
to appeal
sure?
this. I'm going to appeal this. It's like, dude, you got like $150 fine. It's like, I want jail time. I want to appeal. It's like, what?
Yeah.
All right. So yes, indictment, no jail. Maybe boost his credibility.
Yeah, I would say it'll boost his credibility.
Yeah, I'd probably say that. I think
I don't know if he'll win, but it'll boost his credibility.
I think this puts him more in the running.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah.
I think everybody was kind of burnt out, getting
Yes.
a little burnt out on him, but this puts him back in.
Absolutely,
in the
because
headlines.
again, people start thinking, what the fuck are they scared of? Right? If they keep going after him like this, it just lends credibility to the fact of what he says.
Right.
They're scared of me.
Yeah. Now, I guess, fourth question. If you changed your answer on 2 to where he did go to jail and get jail time, then does he win president?
Yes.
I think absolutely
Yes,
he would.
absolutely.
And I would pay to see that.
I would too.
I would love
I
to
would
see
vote
that.
for him.
That would be, I mean, that would just be the icing on the cake of the
Yes.
insanity of the political system
Yes.
that we have. Idiocracy would come full swing and we'd just be living in it. So I want to end on this wonderful note. You sent me this article right before you decided to show up at my house. This is an opinion piece from MSNBC, so you know it's going to be golden.
Absolutely.
Golden. And this is titled, Trump tried to make Stormy Daniels a punchline. Now she gets the last laugh.
I love it.
So you know this is going to be great.
Yes.
Stormy Daniels gets the last laugh. That should be her next book. Stormy got the last laugh. Trump has groped and jeered and drummed the beat of misogyny throughout his whole life, making Daniels' potential triumph feel that much sweeter. Appearing on Jimmy Kimmel Live in October 2018, adult film star Stormy Daniels was asked to look at a lineup of mushrooms and pick the one that best resembled President Donald Trump's penis. Daniels has become a household name overnight after it was revealed that a decade earlier she had an alleged sexual relationship with Trump. And 21 months into his presidency, there she was promoting a book and talking about his junk. Now, did Trump make her a household name overnight and make her this, I'm the one that screwed the mushroom dicked Donald Trump? Was that Trump that made that a household?
I would say not.
Or was that Stormy Daniels for writing the goddamn book about it?
Yeah, and the press for jumping on it.
So is it misogyny that made her the laughing stock
You're right.
of the media? No, it was her. She put herself there.
Yes.
Anyways, despite the prestigious media appearance, alongside prestigious media appearances? Prestigious. Would you define Stormy Daniels' media appearance as prestigious?
No.
Like Barack Obama level prestige?
No.
No?
Yeah.
It says her just as famous lawyer, Michael Avenatti, alongside her just as famous lawyer, Michael Avenatti, Daniels was still something of a punchline. A woman derided for being openly sexual, demeaned for having an alleged affair with a married man, and paid $130,000 to keep quiet while that very man was running for president. Do you know who they're making her sound like she is when she's not? Is Monica Lewinsky.
I was just thinking Monica Lewinsky.
She wasn't derided for being openly sexual.
No.
Like, nobody's like, you dirty whore.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it's 2020 or 2016
They put her
at the
on
time.
The Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they're almost
Did
making
they
it
do
seem-
that to Monica Lewinsky?
They're almost making it be like, oh, she's paraded around for her proclivities and her. It's just like, she's a porn star.
Yeah.
Nobody derided her. Maybe, Trump called her some names and stuff, but yeah, you're basically extorting him. And you said he had a freaking mushroom dick.
So it kind of goes both
Yeah.
ways. Yeah.
But derided for being openly sexual and demeaned for having an alleged affair with a married man?
No. Again, that's Monica Lewinsky, not Stormy
We're on the
Daniels.
wrong story
Yeah.
here. And that was fine. Like he got off on so many ways with that. So says, and yet we are here 5 years later after Cohen's stint in prison. Avenatti is currently serving time, and Trump on the precipice of accountability, and Daniels the last woman left standing.
She was the only one
They're
involved.
making her so heroic here. Now she could very well be the reason a former president is indicted for the first time in American history. Daniels took to Twitter Sunday night to share her feelings about the man who has reportedly caused her so much pain, potentially finally getting his comeuppance, whatever. Again, nobody would have fucking known about this because there's this thing called hush money.
Right.
He wanted you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
He didn't parade you on media. He didn't smear you through the media. He wanted you to shut up.
Yeah.
At the price tag of $130,000. That's all you had to do.
Nobody even knew who she was
No.
until this.
No, I mean, I'm sure there's some
Well,
porn
I mean,
fanatics
people
that
that
did.
watched her, whatever, but I mean, most people did not know who she was.
Says, talking about her reportedly caused her so much pain, finally getting her comeuppance, whatever that stupid word means. I only respond when he posts about me or talks about me on TV, and only a fraction of that, she tweeted, likely in reference to Trump recently insulting her physical appearance. She said he had a mushroom dick, okay?
Yeah.
She said he had a mushroom dick.
Yeah, she
opened the door. She opened the door.
Yes, she went on primetime
to
TV
insult.
and pointed out a mushroom that looked like his dick.
Daniels, as a key player in Trump's historic potential indictment, marks a shift in the years-long narrative of the Daniels' alleged entanglement with the former president. It's a symbolic victory, at the very least, for the many women who have spoken out against Trump's alleged bad behavior towards them. Though Daniels alleged her affair with Trump, which he denies, took place way back in 2006, the bombshell dropped in January 2018. Okay, there's the story. We don't need the story anymore. We talked enough about it, but let's get into it. Says, it turns out Trump never signed the NDA, but did reimburse Cohen for the money. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office then opened an investigation into the shady dealing in 2018, but it wasn't until this year that there was finally movement. Most recently, Trump was invited to testify in front of a grand jury investigating the payments made to Daniels, and suddenly things got really real really quick. I'm tired of being threatened, Daniels said to the host of The View in April 2018 of Trump and his various associates, and intimidating me and trying to say that you'll ruin my life and take all my money and my house or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm done being bullied. She wrote later in her book, Full Disclosure, that was the time the death threats against me and my family started ratcheting up. Now, I don't doubt that there's probably death threats.
Oh, yeah. Trump fans are crazy.
I'm not saying that's not acceptable in my opinion.
Not at all.
But them threatening to take everything she has in her house, that probably comes from the NDA that he thought he signed.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to sue you, bitch. We had an NDA. And she's like, you never signed it. He's like, damn it.
You're right.
Damn it. I'm going to take your house. And she's like, no, you're not. He's like, damn it. As absurd as it sounds on his face that an adult film star could be the one to bring down the president, it makes absolute sense when the president in question is Trump. The business mogul turned reality TV star turned once ruler of the free world has had a most improbable career trajectory. And even when his multiple divorces, affairs, and allegations of sexual misconduct and assault took center stage in 2016, voters still looked at him and said, that's my guy. Again, they are not talking about Bill Clinton here.
Right.
They're
Yes.
talking about Donald Trump.
Yes.
We can put this whole entire paragraph, like whole article, and throw Bill Clinton's name in it and change Stormy Daniels to Monica Lewinsky, and you'd still have a valid article.
Right,
But
absolutely.
do you think MSNBC would make that connection?
fuck no.
No, of course not. Even the infamous Access Hollywood tape couldn't stop him. Thanks to Trump, the words grab him by the pussy permanently entered the cultural lexicon, and yet somehow the women wearing pink pussycat hats in protest. No, not pink pussycat hats, pink lady part hats. In protest became a punchline. So grab him by the pussy was became like such a misogynist phrase, but the ladies in their pink pussycat hats, which they're calling them these days, they're still a punchline because it is a punchline.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you're protesting in pink vagina hats, you're just gonna get laughed at. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's better ways to protest.
There's better ways. It's like the people throwing soup at paintings. It's like you're kind of a dumbass.
Yeah.
He spent a lifetime describing women in grotesque terms like crazed, crying lowlife, dog, and pig, and famously referring to his opponent, Hillary Clinton, as a nasty woman. Okay, I don't defend Donald Trump very often, but Hillary's a nasty woman. She's a nasty woman. I'm sorry. That's not misogynistic. That's just that's just an observation.
Yes.
His alleged affair with Daniels took place months after his current wife and former First Lady Melania gave birth to their son, Barron. Ex-wife Ivanka Trump once claimed Trump raped her, though she later retracted the claim. Trump has groped and jeered and drummed to the beat of misogyny throughout his whole life, which makes Daniels' potential triumph feel that much sweeter, especially considering all the other women he left in his wake. Again, not talking about Bill Clinton.
Right.
We know that Daniels met with New York prosecutors last week in relation to the probe against Trump, and it's not yet clear if she'll testify before grand jury. But we do know is that she's finally able to make her voice heard and seek some semblance of justice, which is something the many other women whom Trump has allegedly demeaned or violated or attacked have not been able to seek. Finally able to make her voice. She wrote a book.
Yeah. She's been on the Tonight Show.
On
She's been on The
every
View.
freaking
Yes.
show, like national show, to talk about this.
And not on any of those has she been asked the hard questions. She's been the hero. She's been the Joan of Arc that they've made her out to be in this article.
I don't understand what they're talking about because again, this is not Paula Jones. This is not Juanita Broderick or Monica
and don't
Lewinsky.
forget, all those women were full of shit.
And they were silenced.
Yeah, they were silenced and
they were
discredited.
called that woman. They were discredited by the freaking champion for the women.
Yeah. Who said that all women should be believed.
Yeah.
Right?
Said all women should be believed except for when they are
against
accusing her husband.
Yeah.
His husband, like you said.
Yeah.
That nasty woman. A Trump indictment won't erase the pain he's caused for E. Jean Carroll, Summer Zervos, Natasha Stoyanov, Jill Harth, and the other woman he allegedly tried to break in order to gain and maintain power. Again, Trump denies any allegations of sexual assault or misconduct. But with Daniels at the center of what could be the first domino to fall in Trump's many criminal investigations, there could be some sense of female restitution.
So bring him up on sexual assault charges.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
then I would be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, get
throw
him
in jail.
Go get him. Sexual assault. Go get him.
Yes.
But none of these are sexual assault cases.
Right.
None of these are anything even like sex-related charges. It's, we paid off this lady to shut her damn mouth. And she chose to take the money. So it's not like they're like, you need to shut the fuck up or we're gonna make you go away. It was like, here's $130,000. Just be quiet.
Right.
Just
you
just
wrote
be
a
quiet.
big-
Oh, they
a book?
silenced.
Damn
They silenced her. They
Right.
silenced her voice, and finally, Stormy Daniels could be. We've been hearing her for 7 goddamn years. What silence are they talking? Like she turned around, she signed the NDA, took the money, turned around and wrote a book like 2 days later.
Yeah.
When was she silenced? You
Right.
tell me one moment in her life when she was silenced. Yeah. Death threats, sure, that comes with being famous. Every famous person has had death threats. I guarantee it. And yes, it sucks. It's shitty, but
that's
silenced,
the choice you make.
oppressed.
Yeah.
You think Stormy Daniels is oppressed because of the actions of Donald Trump?
No.
No.
If anything, this was her ride finally coming in.
Yeah.
Literally.
Now, what happens when all this goes away and Stormy Daniels is no longer anything?
My theory is she runs for office.
Oh, God. That will be the ultimate. It's a standoff, like Donald Trump versus Stormy Daniels.
Yes.
Did you ever watch Parks and Rec when there's there's like the former porn star that's like running for the same office as she is, and she's like, me and Leslie have a lot in common. She's like, no, we don't. It's like, as strong, empowered women who like blah, blah, blah in their career, she's like, stop comparing us. But yeah, it was practically Stormy Daniels. I can't think of her name on it, but maybe it was Stormy Daniels. I don't know. But yeah, that's what this would be. Stormy Daniels versus Donald Trump in the election to end all elections, 2024.
Yeah.
That's what's going to come down to. Let's see, porn star in Parks and Recs.
I don't know what you're popping up on your phone on that one.
And I don't either, but we're going to find out together.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I could see her running for like a state office and getting into politics now at this point.
Name was Brandy Max. Was what they... I'm Brandy Max, former adult star. I wish I had that video clip, but yeah, it's going to be Stormy Daniels running for office.
Yes.
Why not?
Yeah.
Glass ceilings, shatter them.
Absolutely.
For porn stars and
I think there was a porn star that ran for office in Las Vegas.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Might as well go all the way. Go to the top. That's a nice place to end. You like that? That heartfelt article, retribution for Stormy Daniels.
But you're right. The comparisons to the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky is just way over glaring, and nobody's going to admit that.
Oh no, nobody on that side is going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you have like George Stephanopoulos like railing against this, and probably having Stormy Daniels on, and he was the one single-handedly covering up Bill Clinton doing the exact goddamn thing 30 years ago because he was Clinton's media guy. He was his like advisor, like political advisor. But yeah, he's sitting over there talking mad shit about how horrible of a person and Donald Trump should be in jail and brought up on charges for all this, and he was the one responsible for covering that shit up 30 years ago. So I mean, it's funny and ironic and sad, and infuriating.
It is
all at the same time.
It is. Yes.
That's all I got on this. We've answered the final questions. We've had our final thoughts, and we've ended with this gold from MSNBC. Let's get out of here.
Yes. This was a nice warm, fuzzy episode.
It was warm and fuzzy. Make sure you check us out for more warm and fuzzy stuff all over social media, which you can find links to everything we do at our website, which is breakthebellpod.com, or follow us on social media at our handle, which is at breakthebellpod. Check out our merch store. Check out all our fun stuff that we have. Buy our shit. Like, subscribe, share the things that the kids are telling you to do these days. Make us famous. Make us as famous as Stormy Daniels.
Yes, if that's possible.
Because we are oppressed and we need retribution.
Yes. Free Trump.
TK, final words, says they can they can't make it sex charges. That will remind everyone of Epstein. And it says Trump and the rest of his kind really don't want that. You're absolutely right there. Yeah. If that's a can of worms nobody wants to open as sex crimes.
Yeah.
Because then the whole ship sinks. So, again, make sure you check us out. Social media, share us far and wide. Make sure you get back here next week for same time, same place, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll have another warm, fuzzy feeling episode for you.
Yes.
Depending on what happens. Maybe Trump will be in jail by then.
He could be.
Maybe he will. We'll let you know then. So we will see you next time. Have a great rest of your week.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.